have much to be thankful for in our community. We frequently witness the care and kindnesses that surround us here. Sometimes we fail to recognize someone in need of a kindness or even just a smile. Help us to be more aware and thoughtful in our everyday lives. Remind us that our kindnesses will bring joy and happiness to others, and the joy and happiness we give to others will not only return to us, but will grow. Amen. Let me just share with you a quick poem by George Eliot called Day Well Spent. If you sit down at set of sun and count the acts that you have done, and counting, find one self-denying deed, one word that eased the heart of him who heard, one glance most kind that fell like sunshine where it went, then you may count that day well spent.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. I appreciate it. Welcome to our April 28th meeting. It's so good to see all of you here and to welcome those who are watching on Channel 971. First, I would like to offer sincere appreciation to both Michael and Matt for the completion of a number of key projects over the last month and for their continuing attention to the planning of several others. The successes this month are truly noteworthy. The repaving of all roads and parking areas on the campus has been completed. The staff of A1 Paving was very remarkable. 4 yellow humps have been spaced along the lane to discourage speeding, including all people. 20, someone's laughing who caught me a little fast earlier. 20 more cottages have received new roofs over the last 3 weeks. As this part of the project is completed, the company will turn its attention, they are ready, to re-roofing parts of the big house for the next couple of months. Our dining venues and services are back in place, with more people dining on site in recent evenings, even from what I've heard, perhaps as many as 120 on certain evenings. The dining committee is continuing to explore options, making dining services in the cafe more attractive. Also, up to 80 residents are continuing with takeout meals, which is in line with the pre-COVID days. Thank you, David Stewart and your team, for all your efforts of restoration and innovation regarding our dining experiences. Good times are here again. Hopefully, many of you took the opportunity 2 weeks ago to tour the new household building. It was indeed a grand opening, complete with new concepts of dignity and empowerment to live life as fully as possible while a resident there. The concepts of a front doorbell and the resident-chosen address of Morning Glory Lane were inspiring. And on top of all this, cards and other games are being played in person. The campus is looking positively beautiful. Off-campus field trips are resuming, and more good times are being announced in the Informer. We all look forward to sharing many of these activities together. In closing, I want to thank the council members for responding earlier this month with your vote supporting a delegation of available funds for VACRA and both the library and flower committees. I thank you. I'd like to now introduce our Executive Director, Michael Shaw, who will be here to help us understand the forward plan and some of the changes that are taking place. Please welcome Michael.
Thank you, sir. I will be brief, just about 10 minutes up here. I want to talk a little bit about our COVID forward plan, and then some tidbits about operations, and if anybody has any questions thereafter, that would be great. First, just my public service announcement to the residents who are listening, and or if not are listening, if y'all could pass on the word. I have had more phone calls and emails in the last 30 days about scams to residents, not just at Cedarfield, but there's lots of evidence in our Henrico Police Department about scams to people who are 65 years of age and better. And so, just a public service announcement. Please, if you don't know where an email is coming from, a text, a phone call, if your alerts are up about whether or not it's a real phone call, text, or email, just reach out to somebody who you really trust before you respond to a lot of things that are, especially phone calls that are people who are soliciting things that are not good. And so, just please, it's troubling times for a lot of reasons, but there's so many scams that are out there. I can point to 9 different scams that residents have brought to my attention in the last 30 days in those 3 modes of communication. So please just be on alert, high alert. As it relates to COVID-19, the 7-day positivity rate has declined here in the state to 5.1. Henrico County is at 6.1, so that's good news. Our dashboard here at Cedarfield continues to be green across residents and any level of care and team members. So, which leads us to a meeting that we had on Monday about our Cedarfield Forward Plan. We did consult with the Virginia Department of Health and the epidemiologist, so we're going to employ the next couple of items of the layering back in effective Monday, and they are as follows. In the healthcare area, assisted living in Morning Glory Avenue, we have been utilizing these visitation vistas for the last several months, where any guest and or family member had to go to these vistas. And so we're at a point now where those guests and family members can come to Cedarfield and go directly to the residence room. So that is a big step, but yet I think we and the experts around us agree that it's a natural next thing to do, as long as the family member and or the guest are vaccinated. And so those of you that are family members that are listening to this video tonight, please consult with your neighborhood leader about the process to get them a vaccination card, which will allow you to go into a residence room in any of those levels of care. Additionally, at the gatehouse, we're not requiring family members or guests to sign up for a certain time because they're not actually coming to the visitation vista. So we're not requiring a scheduling of family members or guests ahead of time, unless they're unvaccinated and they have to go to these visitation vistas. So that's on the license side of the community. If you need more information, please consult with, again, the neighborhood leader. Residents in independent living can certainly cut through and walk through assisted living to get to different areas, mainly the parking lots. People who live in independent living can go to Morning Glory Avenue, assisted living, or healthcare, as long as the residents are vaccinated. And the other big thing about the license side is as long as we're out, if somebody is vaccinated and we're outside, we, as many of you probably heard yesterday, we can take off our masks and enjoy the fresh air, and we can be closer than 6 feet as long as everybody is vaccinated. So that's the good news, and know that be enormous relief for many of the families that are listening to this video tonight. In independent living, 2 big things happened yesterday. We've had visitation in rooms, in cottages and apartments here for the last 3 months now, and all that's been going very well. So the next layer to that residents have been asking for, that we talked about on Monday, is if a family member comes to a cottage or an apartment here in the main building, and they wish to sleep over, can they do that? And the epidemiologist, we talked about that, and given all the guidance, the answer is yes, that you can have a guest stay over as long as they're vaccinated. So that's the key. If you wish to have somebody sleep over or stay over, they need to have they need to be past 2 weeks, especially with the Pfizer and the Moderna, past that two-week period of time. And you must please provide the vaccination cards to the clinic. We're going to keep these on file to prevent us or prevent the family member or the guest from needing to bring in the card all the time. So that's a big step forward in independent living. And then I know Mr. Long is listening, who asked often, and as many others, in the wellness building, we're going to open up the locker rooms in the wellness building as well, and people can utilize the locker rooms for their intended use. So at the gatehouse, we're going to have a little bit of a change. We have not stopped anyone at the community for a very long period of time because of temperature. And so to help to streamline a little bit at the gatehouse, we are dropping temperature checks at the gatehouse. We're going to continue with the series of questions, and we're going to add actually one question of who are you visiting, so that we can document that and log that in. That's not only a COVID-19 good practice, it's a good safety practice at the gatehouse. We're going to continue testing every week on Wednesdays from 1 to 3 non-vaccinated team members. Those residents that are not vaccinated, if you wish to come on Wednesdays from 1 to 3 to get tested, you're more than welcome to join us to give you another level of assurance. By the way, the testing that we've been doing with non-vaccinated team members over the last 5 weeks has produced no positive of the virus, so that's good news. The only downside that I see on Monday, hopefully, is that all good news? Okay, so that's good news. That's a good step forward. The only downside that I have to report on Monday, from Monday's call, has to do with the number of people who can, like, for example, gather here in the fellowship hall. We've not been given clearance to have more people gather in indoor spaces. So we're hopefully next week, as we look at more of the guidance, we'll be able to maybe open that up. But that's to come here shortly. The vaccine, many of you probably heard, J&J is now being distributed again. So we are going to again resume partnership with Remedy. Any resident or team member and or somebody that's actually providing service here at Cedarfield wishes to receive the J&J vaccine, we'll be starting clinics back up. If you are a team member and or somebody providing service, please contact Connie McGowan. If you are a resident that wishes the J&J, please contact Ann Hopper. So that's it about COVID-19. Just 2 more minutes of your time. A couple of operational updates. The grand opening, by all measures, seems to be a success of the household. We are blessed to have this household here at Cedarfield, joining, as I've said many times, a global movement. Many residents did not have an opportunity to go through the household building, so we are gearing up to provide mini tours for folks that did not go through the building. The 5th floor of that building is unoccupied at this point and will be for the next couple of months. So we're going to provide tours for groups of people through the 5th floor, whomever did not have a chance to experience the grand opening. June 1st is our fiscal year, so we are coming out with a new rate letter for residents. Those rate letters will be in the residence box by the end of this week. And then at the live chat next Wednesday, James Green, our business office director, will be presenting the budget for this next coming year. I hope everyone has had a chance to see the Informer, the new and improved Informer. The lifestyles and wellness team have been working very hard at that format to make it more user-friendly and complying more to the 10 domains of well-being. It's just a great format. I know that Florence and the team are very proud of it. And so if you have not had a chance to look at the Informer, please do so. Affirmation Home Health. 2 months ago, I talked about Pinnacle Living joining forces, and we actually placed a memo in every resident's cubby box and mailbox. We have joined forces with Lifespire to create a new company called Affirmation, and that company will over time provide hospice, home care, and home health. The board of this particular company just met today, and so over the next 30 days, you're going to hear a little bit more education about this company and how it will help the continuum of care here at Cedarfield. And then the last thing for me, related to our master plan, we did receive the permit from the county 10 days ago to start renovation plans. So where the healthcare administration offices used to be and the assisted living apartments underneath them, we started construction this week on that wing, along with the assisted living dining room on the 3rd floor. That is a 3-month project, and so hopefully that will be done by the end of July. And then during the live chat next week, I'm going to go over the project schedule for the next 2 years in a very short way, just to give everybody a timeline of all the renovations that are going to happen on the west side of the community. So, does anybody have any questions for me?
Yes.
Yes?
Are the guest rooms opening up?
The guest rooms, the question here in Fellowship Hall, are the guest rooms opening up? And the answer is no, not quite yet. For reasons which I'll describe next Wednesday during the live chat. It has nothing to do with COVID. It has more to do with space that I need to use for a renovation. So, yes, ma'am.
If you miss the tour, who do you contact to go on another one?
If we miss the question is, if we miss the grand opening of Household, who do we contact to go on the tour? And information will be coming out in the next week about where to sign up, how to sign up, and when those additional tours will take place in the Household building. All that's coming up. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Bailey?
Any idea when dining will open up for guests?
The question is, any idea of when the dining room will open up for guests? And at this point, I don't have a time frame, but that is the next big item to open up for Cedarfield. So that one's right at the top of the list. And the epidemiologists know that that's at the top of our list. There are, just a point of clarity, many of you probably do have friends at other retirement communities who are allowing guests to come into their restaurant. And there's a reason why Cedarfield is not allowing that. And that's because the guidance suggests that we shouldn't be. And so we're going to follow the rules and keep people safe rather than going on a little liberal tour of maybe opening things up. Dr. Seghetti?
Would you kindly put out with tentative what the schedule is that you're going to talk about next week for the next 2 years in construction?
I can do that. I'll do that in a memo form.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Seghetti was saying maybe could we put in a little memo form something proactive to the residents before the live chat that describes the renovations coming up in the next 2 years in the time frame, and I'll do that before the live chat. I'll put something in everyone's cubby box and mailbox next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Michael. We'll now move on to the committee reports and the area representatives' reports. And we'll run through those, and in the case where the person is here, you can come forward. And if not, we have an Assistant Secretary, Vivian, who will be reading instead. So, the Communications Committee Chair. please come forward.
The Communications Committee had a long report, so I will try to synopsize it.
If you could pull that down just a little bit.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. We met on April 1, and the item that we spent most time on was Channel 970. While being aware of the circumstances that led to a change in current emphasis of Channel 970, this committee is committed to the purpose of information and urges Channel 970's return to an information vehicle. And we list several things that we would like to see studied and corrected with 970. Training of staff members who make slides could be an answer to many of these problems that we highlighted, but along with a style sheet. We definitely want a style sheet for those folks. But perhaps the best answer is an editor who has responsibility for all slides. We talked about the signage around the campus, both inside and outside the buildings, and we were dissatisfied. You can see some specifics when you get the written report. The pictorial directory, while the committee notes with thanks a periodic receipt of new residents' pictures, as we had recommended, we are confused by the duplication of pictures of residents sent out individually and pictures of residents in the original compilation of the pictorial directory. The loose-leaf version of the directory does have some advantages over what we were accustomed to, but in the opinion of this committee, they are outweighed by the disadvantages. The type is larger, which is a good thing, and the pictures are smaller, which is a not good thing. While treating couples as two individuals is applauded by some, it is considered cumbersome by others. The pictures taken by professional photographers in years past are far superior to those taken by amateur photographers with amateur equipment. The cropping of some pictures is most unfortunate. Perhaps the computer program is not appropriate to the task. And a major omission were administration staff pictures. Many residents found those pictures most helpful. The Cedar Digest is the summer edition, will appear about June 25th. And Fred Beck is always looking for additional copy, and he is most gracious and will accept that copy in just about any format you can come up with. We adjourned after an hour and a half. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jean Bodie, you're on.
You will see when you get the minutes that I've kind of coined a new phrase. Dining committee, protocols and procedures, not pork chops and peas. Okay, and I'm doing this because people say, what in the devil do you do? The broccoli was too well done, or the sauce on my pork chops wasn't right. Well, that's not what the dining committee does. So I'm trying to get that point across one way or the other. Anyway, we met on April 23rd at the Chatterbox. Members not in attendance were Jim Vermeer, John Rose, and Terry Ragsdale. Statistics from lunch, dinner, main dining, and atrium were reviewed. The main dining room averages for lunch 35 to 40. Dinner is in the dining room. No, these are averages, 125. The atrium average is about 60 for the day. Takeout averages is 65. Now, we know there's a limit of 80, but when they average them together. And that does not include the 20 meals that are prepared for people that are qualified for helping hands. So as you can see, the dining room staff is really quite busy. The assisted living people, folks who have been using the dining room, are going to be able to return to their dining room within 30 days, David Stewart thought. The suggestion was made that the options for dining ordering should be put on one page for easier understanding. It is especially helpful for new residents. And I guess I hadn't thought about it, but several people on the committee have said that new residents are so confused. Where do we order? When do we order? How do we order? It is helpful for those who are taking the orders that you know what you're ordering before you call. Now, you may have a question about preparation. How is the, I don't know, Mississippi shrimp prepared, or what's in it? Those questions. But it takes an awful lot of time from the recipient of the order to go through the entire menu. So orders are available, menus are available. First, when you get your takeout order, in the bottom of the bag is the orders, the recipe, the menu for the next day. They are also available in the atrium and in the dining room. And also, of course, on the Cedarfield app, and on, I'm not real savvy with that. 973, right. So it is helpful for you as a resident when you're calling in your order for takeout that you kind of know what you want. After much discussion, it was determined that the reservation system will remain unchanged. While it has its drawbacks, and we all know what they are, at this time, there is really no other alternative. One of the suggestions was that people don't like to be tied to their house or their cottage or their apartment waiting for a callback. If when you make your order, when you call for a reservation, give them your cell phone number. Then you can take your cell phone with you and have, that's how they can call you back. So that was one of the suggestions. It has been a continued, and all you need to do is read the news. This is not unique to Cedarfield. It's not even unique to the state of Virginia. It is very hard to hire folks right now. We are down cooks, and we are down wait staff. So I think we all agree that it's important that you thank the folks that are waiting on you, or thank the cook when you see them, the chef or the cook when you see them out and about. The dining staff said this really means more than we really realize sometimes. I also, many of them are working 10-hour days, 6 to 7 days a week at a stretch. That's a long time. I was talking to one of the chefs last night, and I said, "How are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm doing okay." I said, "These 10-hour days," he said, "What really bothers me is my back." Well, he sounds like one of us, But if, you're on your feet preparing food all day, it does get to you. We also wanted people to realize that if you don't like what the wait staff presented to you, complaining to them doesn't do much. The only thing they can do is get a replacement for you. If you say, "My salad is terrible, do you want another salad?" "No, I don't want another salad." Well, you need to put that kind of remark on a comment card. Write down what it was that you didn't like or you want changed, and David Stewart will address it. There's a suggestion was made from the committee that we offer a monetary thanks to the staff as well. But, of course, we can't do that. So if you would like to send your suggestions to administration, he can pass it on to Chris, and I'm sure there's a lot of money we can still, divide up. But anyway, we do need to appreciate how hard they are working behind the scenes and at our tables. Work continues on the cardboard compactor baler, I have to say that 3 times, and the progress will be meeting at the next meeting. David Stewart also shared, and I thought this was interesting, they're working on a way to compact our non-meat wastes into, I think we've also, or at least I have, seen those little compactors you can put on your ledge in your kitchen, to compact stuff. So they're working on that. So we are also trying to work with the environment, and we will continue. So thank you.
Thank you. The next report is environmental services. Vivian, if you could go through that one.
Well, this will not have the personal touches of the earlier reports because it isn't my report. The Environmental Services Committee met on April 6th. Members present, that is to say residents present, were Chuck Bingley, Clyde Roper, Christine Watt, and Vernon Whitaker. And staff present were Beth Burrell and Jack Johnson. Vernon Whitaker called the meeting to order at 2 p.m. They introduced Dr. Clyde Roper as co-chair. Whitaker also reported on the nature trail. It remains in good shape and requires no action at this time. The road trail is displaying continuing development. For example, more clearing and redeployment of blazing ties. And if we truly want to do away with the road trail, that needs attention. Christine Watt reported on the Nature Pond Trail. She and Beth agreed to do some walking and marking to determine what to do with the problems, which largely surround flooding and trash. Beth and Vernon will consider how to move the lane entrance of the nature trail to a previously approved, naturally better drained position. It's about 60 feet north of the current entrance. The mud and mud puddles would be largely naturally eliminated. Jack explained the plan to stop the oily, rusty discharge from the fire hydrant cutoff valve in front of 2112 Cedarfield Lane. Chuck Bingley reported on persistent problems with trash in general, but in particular with trash in the clubhouse area. Trash pickup and presentation for pickup were discussed. It boils down to supervision of presentation and pickup the functions. Who is responsible for the clubhouse? The committee agreed that this needs attention. Vernon Whitaker adjourned the meeting at 3 o'clock.
Thank you again. The facilities, there is no report. Next is finance. Carol Marquez.
The Finance Committee met on April 27th, and in addition to the members, we had the Executive Director, Michael Shaw, we had James Green, the Director of the Business Office, and Eldon Rucker as President of the Residents Council. James Green presented the financial reports for the 9 months ending February 28th, 2021. Cedarfield showed a positive result for the period. James called attention to the increase in COVID-19 expenses, wages and benefit cost, and insurance cost. James also gave us an update on the amount spent on capital projects for the 9 months, which is over $1.5 million. Our occupancy rate is down due to the fear of COVID-19 and the delayed opening of D-Wing, which has an effect on our income. I'm attaching to our minutes a copy of the statement of activities for this period. I'm adding in my report several paragraphs adding to the statement, but they will make more sense to you when you have the statement in front of you and you can read this. It's additional information that I hope will clear up some of the questions that we've had in the past. And also, I invite you, if you have questions on the finances, to please contact me. When we receive the end of the year report, which our end of the year is May 31st, 2021, we will then have our next committee meeting to review it. Michael has already referred to James's presentation of our budget next Wednesday. I encourage everyone to listen. It's so much more helpful to understand what we're dealing with in the future. And James is very helpful in communicating this to us. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next report is the Flower Committee. Vivian, I think you have that one as well as the one after that. Yeah.
Well, the Flower Committee report is fairly brief. We see the output constantly all around our community, so it's wonderful. Once again this year, the Flower Committee would like to thank the Residents Council for its gift of $175. We are grateful for your continued support. Our committee works diligently to keep fresh flower arrangements inside the big house looking as beautiful as the outside spaces of the Cedarfield campus. New surprises appear every day in the various gardens. We are looking forward to the Garden Day in May tour and tea event to be held on Tuesday, May 18th. We hope many of you will participate in this lovely and delicious event, submitted by Louisa Rucker, the chair of the Flower Committee.
And the next one, you may have to walk back again. It's the Gardening Committee. Roger Dowdy's not here today, so Vivian has another report to present to us.
I'm starting to feel like a star. Okay, this is the Gardening Committee. The committee met on April 12th. The meeting focused on upcoming tasks and events for May 2021. Cedarfield May Garden Day, Tuesday, May 18th, as I just mentioned for the Flower Committee, is to feature tours of selected cottages and a refreshment tea in the clubhouse. Sally Sessions and Louisa Rucker are conducting the 2021 Garden Day. An orientation coffee event was held on April 14th for all of the hosts and guides for Garden Day to learn the necessary safety measures and the mechanics of the day's tours. Committee member Ann Williams, in collaboration with Jan Steele, the resident consultant for Cedarfield Cultivate Pathway, will begin planning ways to provide communications of interest to the entire Cedarfield community relative to Cultivate, the 10th dimension of our Pathways to Wellness, if that title doesn't ring a bell immediately. Cultivate calls attention to and celebrates the care and beauty of the entire Cedarfield property, its natural inhabitants, and ways in which residents and team members can engage nature by gardening and non-gardening activities and programs. The committee noted deep appreciation to horticulturalist Beth Burrell for her steady eyes and hands and her creativity and knowledge, in oversight of cultivating the natural seasonal beautification of the entire campus. Resident garden beds co-coordinators Christine Watt and Nancy Hoffheimer held a workshop for residents who have an individual garden bed. Garden beds, covenants and guidelines for 2021 planting season were reviewed. Rose Studer, coordinator for the Garden Angels team, held an impromptu gathering of Garden Angel volunteers in the residence garden area April 6th. Cedarfield horticulturalist Beth Barrow presented an overview of 2021 seedlings being nurtured in preparation for planting across the Cedarfield campus, gardens and planters. Gardening Committee and Beth Barrow invite residents and team to frequent the residence garden area as a campus destination spot to see what is growing and blooming and take some photos to share. Respectfully submitted, Roger Dowdy, Sally Sessions, gardening co-chairs.
Thank you again. The Health Services, Elvira.
I have two short reports. We've met twice since our last meeting here. March 31st, the members of the committee met with Alice and Zach to discuss the ways they could support the administration in the opening of the households. That was our month to be part of the 25th anniversary. We would have a tour of the household led by Matt Dameron on April 8th and meet at the door at 2. On the 13th, Jan, Nancy, Warren, Lena, and I would be available to help with the ribbon cutting from 10:30 to noon. And on the 15th, when residents would be having a tour, Ruth Ann and Mary Ann would help with the residents seeking to tour in the morning from 9 to 11:30, and Warren and Barbara in the afternoon from 1 to 2:30. The committee met on April 28th, and our goal that day was to have Matt talk about the Medicare unit once we had our numbers. And I found it very helpful to know what the statistics or the numbers of people who are housed over in our licensed side. Those numbers are down, which I think has an impact. And, I'm glad people don't need those services. However, it does make a difference in revenue. Healthcare was 48 at that day. It has a maximum of 60 with 4 of those 60 that would be unavailable. Assisted living area had 29, and memory care had 16, and it has a maximum of 20. So if you notice, the numbers are a little bit off. Matt did a wonderful job presenting a description of what the Medicare unit would include: nursing and therapy, care from professionals in all areas, and skilled nursing care. The number of registered nurses would be increased to 80%, and licensed practical nurses would be 20%. And that's a bit different from what we're seeing today. This household would be certified for 20 apartments. The committee recommends that Matt be invited to present to groups of residents so that they would be better able to understand the program. And we had picked up on having Matt come because we heard such wonderful things about the men's coffee, where he spoke about it. But also, we would get the questions out in the open so that they could be looked at, such as, I don't have Medicare. Would I be eligible for this care? I submit this as recorder.
Thank you very much. I'll go continue through the list here. Library Committee, there's no report. Religious life, no report today. The safety, there's no report. And we're up to welcoming, and we have Nellie Keenan.
We have recently welcomed the following residents to Cedar Field. Linda Shalisting moved into apartment 480. She is from Glen Allen. Phyllis Katz moved into apartment 271. She is from Glen Allen also. Martha Ryder and Raymond Salmonson moved into apartment 316. They are from Granville, Connecticut. Carolyn Klein moved into apartment 337 from Weeki Wachee, Florida. Dick and Carol Rankin moved to 2172 Cedarfield Lane. They are from Spotsylvania. Diane Jefferson moved into apartment 461. She is from Henrico. Jean Williams moved into 301. She is from Irvine, California. Jerry and Denise Bakula moved into apartment 388. They are from Midlothian. Jane Avera moved into apartment 166. She is from Henrico. June Tate moved into apartment 439. She is from Charlottesville. We had a welcome session for the residents who had recently moved to Cedar Field on April the 22nd, excuse me. 6 residents attended. Eldon Rucker, President of the Residents Council, and President-elect Mike Greenwood were also there. Eldon told these incoming residents about the Residents Association, and he and Mike answered the various questions that they had. The residents seemed to find this event to be both helpful and enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nellie. The last of the committees, Wellness and Leisure, there was a report provided, excuse me, by Barbara Rose to the secretary, but she was called away for another event earlier this week and is not due back until this evening. So we don't have an oral report, but there is, and that committee is quite extensive in terms of lots of activities and is really doing well. Before we get to area representatives, things do happen as the day goes by. I got this morning an email from Jim Trometer. Jim has been involved for a number of years working with VACRA. For those who haven't heard, that's Virginia Continuing Care Residents Association. And that's a group that has two purposes, really, as near as I can tell. One is an opportunity to share with other similar places, and the other is to represent us in those places to the congressional folks here in Richmond at this point. The only thing I can add at this point is he did not have a complete report, but he'd like me to pass on 2 announcements. One, the newsletter is to be distributed this weekend. That's the newsletter from the VACRA group. And there will be a membership meeting on May 21st featuring Delegate Rodney Willett as the keynote speaker. I guess that this will continue to be a situation, and I would say in response, in addition, we certainly need to stay close to that so that we are aware of what other things are happening. And I will talk to him further about the possibility of a presentation later. Moving to the area representatives, Area 1, there is no report. Area 2, Andy Carter's.
We have 4 separate items that were submitted to me to pass on to you. The first one is, I'm particularly incensed that Channel 970 and our television sets have been hijacked by the administration, and now they interject exercise classes and recently snapping mediation sequence, so annoying to me it increases my blood pressure. 970 has been our bulletin board, a way to find out activities offered that day and what time they occur. Such details should run in an uninterrupted loop all day. Optional televised programs should not be inserted into such a broadcast, but should have their own channel on Touchdown. The second item, when will area meetings with heads of departments be reinstated? These meetings face-to-face with people who provide services to residents are valuable. Occasional paper statements left in our mailboxes do not provide us with the opportunity to ask questions about decisions that affect our lives here. The isolation and restrictions of the past year have made such area meetings a necessity. Why are the toilets in the ladies' room outside the Prima restaurant only 15 inches tall? That size of toilet is used in elementary schools. No one living here is in elementary school, and further height is extremely hazardous to residents as falling is an issue. That's not mine.
I can tell.
The good news is that we can have 6 people eating at one table without masks, but places like the art room are still limited to 8 people, including the instructor, all wearing masks. Is there a reason for not increasing the numbers in venues such as this? And I think Michael did address that a little bit earlier.
Thank you. Area 3, I think Vivian, you have a short report from Sally Bingley, I believe. No? Okay. Area 4, Nancy Hoffheimer.
Good afternoon. Recently, a resident of Area 4 was looking for the name of the individuals responsible for the service that she needed. She went to 3 different people trying to get the name and number of who was in charge of this service at the time. It took talking with 3 different people. She finally found the name and was discouraged that she had to go through all those steps. So I'm concerned that the personnel changes are not published in a timely manner so residents can find who they need when they do it. I will say what looks like the reformed informant may address this, but it is frustrating, and oftentimes the staff don't even know where the person is. The installation of the speed bumps on the lane is complete, and they're serving their purpose. We're all hearing about it.
Guess what?
And again, I brought this up in the March meeting, but I think there's a need, or we're asking that the administration at least review the need for sidewalks. And I would just like the courtesy of a response. Area 4 had 5 new residents move in this past year, so they don't know the history of why we don't have walks. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Area 5, you have a group, oh, that's us, oh.
Good afternoon. Area 5 was very pleased with the paving work and the new roofs that have been added on our end of the lane. Contractors did a great job. Everybody was really happy with all of that. There was some discussion about the speed bumps, of course, as there has been everywhere else since we hit them all. We gathered April 2nd for a coffee at my cottage, and there were 9 of us, socially distanced. So we had a great visit, shared discussions of books and documentaries, and talked about all the news of Cedarfield, and it was a great opportunity for us to be able to get together. And then once again, we had a potluck on April 14th in the clubhouse, and it was a soup night. So 4 kinds of soups were done by residents in crock pots, and we had salads and cheeses and snacks and cookies and brownies, and a great visit. We were able to be out on the porch, and we were able to space everybody out well enough in the clubhouse. So it was really a fun event for us. And we're looking forward to the garden tours. There are several lovely yards down at our end of the lane, so we hope people can come on down and see what's happening there. We have 1 new resident that is going to be moving in June that we're looking forward to welcoming. And then at some point the next few weeks, Roba Ruther will be moving up to an apartment. So we're looking forward to her being welcomed up there, and we'll continue to invite her down to visit with us over time. And that's it for us.
Thank you very much. Is Joan Tipton here? I wasn't sure.
I'm Joan Tipton.
Oh, okay.
Joan had to leave just a few minutes ago, and she asked that I give her a report for her.
Okay.
Area 6 residents met on April the 9th. A group of residents from Area 6 met in the Atrium Cafe to discuss issues and ideas. One of the residents would like more variety of food in the Atrium Cafe. The Area 6 decided to have a barbecue in the early fall after residents returned from their summer vacations. It was also decided that those who would like to meet for breakfast in the Atrium, once it opens, will do so each month on the first Thursday at 8:30. Pat and Joan will notify the residents when this will begin. There were 2 major areas of concern, garbage being one, but that's been resolved, so I don't think we have to talk about that. The other was people who are visiting overnight, and that's been talked about and resolved now. So that's her report.
Thank you. Area 7 has no report. Area 8 has no report. Area 9, no report. Area 10, Area 11, no report, as far as I know. Area 12, there was a written report. Is Betty Mann here? Does she have a report? If you'd like to.
Area 12 has 6 couples, and we have 30 residents altogether. We had on April the 11th, on April the 9th, we met in the hub, and 20 of us got together, and we went around the room and told a little bit about where we were from and tried to reconnect people that had been here a while with people who were new, but also we don't see each other that much because we've got the long haul and the short haul. then on Friday, the 23rd, we had a small gathering for Jane Williams, who was also new. And the first meeting in the hub, we had Pete and Susan Hutchison, and also, let's see, Caroline Klein. And that's about it.
Thank you. Area 13, no report. Area 14, no report. Area 15, it's Mike Greenwood is that person, and I happen to know he's away, enjoying life somewhere. Area 16, no report. Area 17, Ms. Boyer, no. Did you have a report? Oh, you're waiting. Oh, well. Beth Long. This is Area 18.
Area 18, which is otherwise known as the second floor of D-Wing, gathered for the first time at the very end of March. Since we're all new, much of our time was spent introducing ourselves. Additionally, we reviewed the construction and maintenance matters that are particular to D-Wing and that have been identified in the last several months, and also went over the approximate schedule for addressing these issues, while the D-Wing is still under warranty, which is just another month or so. Other items of concern, such as the newly reduced water flow and the unappealing yard facing south, continued to be discussed among residents, with the very welcome installation of sod and new plantings mid-April, which brightened everybody's outlook. Our residents look forward to more relaxed get-togethers on a irregular basis as we continue to settle in.
Thank you very much. Area 19, 20, and 21. I don't have any input unless someone does.
Area 3 has been discovered. It is now in my hot little hand. So even though it's out of order, this is for Area 3, and it is brief. Dick and Carol Rankin have moved into 2171 Cedarfield Lane, and we extend a warm welcome to them. When is administration going to resume area/departmental monthly meetings? I think there's a theme going on here. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank everybody. The only thing I would add is I find it very helpful, particularly to hear the various area activities, because I know one thing I haven't had a chance to say, but I had a chat with Carol, who many of you know was the previous president, but the last year she had hoped to have an event for area representatives to talk among yourselves and see if there are things people could learn from what they're finding out from these meetings. And we've decided to, and sometime in early May, we will hold a session here. And she will lead the activity again in hopes. There are quite a lot of new area reps, and I think it would be nice to get it together and have a chance to talk about what's happening in each area. So we're looking forward to that. Is there any old business? Any new business other than what I just said?
Can I just mention one thing?
Sure.
Please.
Not new business, but more of my last public service announcement Yesterday was 85 degrees, and today is 88, and then we're gonna drop back into the 70s, I think, on Saturday. So just a word of caution about hydration. We particularly see more instances of people falling or fatigue when the temperature changes this dramatically. So keep up drinking the water, please, as you're walking around the community. Simple things that you might take for granted, of the proper shoes wearing around the community, going for a walk, and or lifting your legs. Just be particularly mindful of your hydration and walking around the community with such a drastic, in a short amount of change, the temperature shooting up to close to 90 degrees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. We thank you for joining us. Hopefully you got a lot of good ideas and we can talk about them further, I'm sure. If there's no further information, I'll declare this meeting adjourned. Have a nice rest of the day.